You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's This Is How I Made It After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's This Is How I Made It After Show.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you are on the planet. My name's Thomas.
I'm Kendra.
Oh, I am Nigel McGuinness.
I'm so glad you guys could join us. Jesse, unfortunately, was unable to make it today. But so we're here for This Is How I Made It, Episode 2. We're featuring Gabby Douglas and Mac Miller. What do you guys want to start with?
I guess we'll start with Gabby.
Gabby, so she's originally from, Newport Beach, Virginia.
Yes.
And then
Virginia Beach.
I'm sorry,
Born
Virginia Beach,
in
Newport Beach.
News.
Newport News,
Right?
I got that
Yeah.
mixed up. So
Yeah.
Newport News and then Virginia
We
Beach.
got a new host in here, this guy.
I know, right? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Too much Red Bull. But so, let's think about her story. So we go back. So I think it was about, 3 years old. She saw her older sister doing cartwheels.
Mm-hmm.
And she started practicing. I mean, that's a pretty young age to be doing cartwheels, all right? Like, to kind of master it the way she did.
Is it? When did you first do a cartwheel, Kendra?
Let me think back.
Yeah.
My Olympic history. Probably around 6 or 7. I'm guessing. I don't.
I was doing cartwheels in my mother's womb, but
Oh.
you know.
You
I've never
said
been
it.
able to do a cartwheel.
You haven't?
I've tried, and it's actually really bad. But apparently, at 3 years old, she was learning, and her older sister encouraged her and her mom to put her in gymnastics.
Right.
She started.
was advanced. She was gifted.
She's very gifted.
So-
And then about 8 or 9 years old, that's when she kept. I think it was like 8 or 9. She realized she wanted to, pursue it even further.
Yeah.
And it was the 2004 Olympics that she saw one of the gymnasts, and she was like, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. Did you guys ever have that moment? You talked about this last weekend when you saw the wrestler and you had that moment and you said that's what you wanted to do, right?
Yeah, I had a few of them, yeah.
Wait, did you ever have that moment when you were a kid like her and you're just like, you see someone, like when I was a kid, I saw the news anchors in San
Yeah.
Antonio and I was like, I want to do that.
See, that's funny. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I had where I was looking at them, but my brother and I would always kind of get out a camera and use the ironing table as as
Really?
the news desk, and we'd do that and record ourselves just on audio and just kind of report or just talk, And so I think that was our version of saying.
You want to hear something really cheesy? So we would
Uh-oh.
get, you know what dowel rods are? Like the pointer sticks, because back in the day
Yeah.
they had pointer sticks. I'm 30, so let's date myself. And then we'd put the map of the U.S. for the world up, and we would point to different areas.
For the weather.
So we had our own little weather channel. But anyway, that's so she had that
Yeah.
kind of same experience back to this. But so when she realized that's what she wanted to do, and they had some of the Olympians or trainers like Chow go to her school and trained her, and she realized if you could train them, you can train me. Like she realized she realized at a very young age that she had that gift.
Right.
And that's when she decided to move to Des Moines, Iowa, of all places, and train, which is kind of random, but that's where a big training center is.
Right.
Well, let me
Far
ask
away
you
from-
this: how much of it do you think of her getting to the Olympics? 'Cause this is what I was watching.
Yeah,
what
go
I was
ahead.
thinking as I was watching this was, how much of it was her being naturally talented, and how much was it the fact that she, her parents sent her to Iowa and she was willing to not go and watch, the midnight version of Breaking Dawn? Because the trouble in my mind is there's going to be lots and lots of little girls out there watching that going, oh, I want to be that now.
Mm-hmm.
And they might not be very good at being a gymnast. They're going to spend their whole life trying and then end up, failing and being miserable and depressed.
I don't know. I think honestly, she had the talent at a young age. I think,
Yeah.
and she had support from her family the entire way, which she lets on to later when times were tough. Her family was always behind her back, and I think it's kind of like they've done studies like if you encourage a kid or you encourage a person to do something, they're more likely to succeed versus telling them they can't do it over and over. You can't do it, and that
Really?
person. I think a lot of it depends on your psychic and the individual, but a
Right.
lot of times when you keep telling people no, a lot of times if it's I guess if you groom someone, does that make sense at a very young age? You keep telling them no or don't encourage them, they're less likely to succeed than someone that's encouraged.
And I think in this instance, she was talking about her own story, but also encouraging people, I think, with their own talents. It's not necessarily like, hey, if you're horrible, you have 2 left feet, you know, go into gymnastics and you'll do
There's
very
obviously
well.
exceptions to the rule, but I mean, there are people who are very good at gymnastics that will never be good enough to be Olympics. You know what I mean?
Very true.
And
some people that can never do cartwheels.
Right. Yeah, you'll never be in the Olympics, mate.
Oh, no. That
At least not for that. Maybe the bedroom Olympics. Da-da-dum.
Zing!
Unnecessary roughness.
Exactly.
And it's very appropriate,
Has he been
actually.
in the bedroom with you? How does he know that?
So she
Some would
was,
say it's necessary roughness, depending on what floats your boat.
but she talked about that. So she is very well. She's very well grounded.
endowed, you could say. What was that?
She's
Get
very
our
well,
minds out of the gutter, please. Come on, Thomas.
muckraking.
And we're back.
Yeah, and we're back to AfterBuzz TV. You can check us out on AfterBuzzTV.com. But so anyway, like she talked about, you know, the struggles, and like she wanted to be a normal kid. Like even you were talking about how she wanted to go to the mall. She wanted to watch movie premieres, but she had to stay really focused.
Right.
And it's really interesting. Her family, her mom and her family went to visit her in Des Moines one Christmas, and she could see them very little because as Olympians, if you're not familiar, like you have to be extremely dedicated. It's like literally you live and breathe the Olympics. You do go to school and you get educated, but I mean your free time is just nonstop training. And when she saw her family, she saw them that little bit for the holidays. It took her back home. It took her like her heart back home in a sense. Like she wanted to drop out of the Olympics and move back to Virginia.
But it was only for a year she was there, right?
Yeah.
And
But
it
she
was-
wanted it. She was ready to give everything up to be back
I
home.
suppose when you're that age, a year's a long time, isn't it? You know,
Oh,
a
yeah.
year's nothing for me. I sneeze and a year passes. You know, I'm like,
Well, I get another wrinkle every year. So yeah. As the older we get, but no, I mean it was interesting that it just showed like her family actually supported her. We're like, no, you need to stay. You started
Yeah.
this. You need to finish it, and you have this talent. Which you know a lot of the families be like, come back home. It's fine. You know, you don't have to do this. So I thought that was kind of neat.
That's what separates I guess in this case, the girls from the women. You know, like that extra drive. She didn't go to prom. She didn't go to these things, but she said she was committed to.
You know, I didn't even think of that. That's got to be like very different not to have that prom or that normal life that you know all of us have encountered. Or do you guys even have proms in
No.
England?
no, we don't
We
have
didn't
prom.
really have a prom.
No,
either.
Really?
no. I graduated, believe it or not. I graduated university, right? And I didn't go to my graduation ceremony because Godzilla was on the movies. You know, the Godzilla,
That's you went to go see that?
You missed
Yeah,
the
so I
ceremony?
missed the ceremony to watch Godzilla because I just thought it was going to be the better experience of the two.
Really?
Yeah, and I didn't want to be herded up on stage with everybody and like awful. I just hate that pomp and circumstance. So I watched Godzilla. I skateboarded back to the university. I drank a bottle of champagne, and you know, said
But were there other showings of Godzilla?
probably, yeah.
And you just
You've seen through my ruse, Kendra. It wasn't because I wanted to see Godzilla.
okay.
So I didn't
I'm
want to
just
go to
wondering
my
'cause-
graduation.
Why do you want to go?
Hate it. I hate all that awful, like, oh, well done, and you've done everything that everybody else did, and it's not really that difficult. You just don't, you know, don't fuck up. Can I say that? I just did.
You
You
just
did.
did.
Brilliant.
we got
Poor
Philip popping
Phil.
over there.
I guess that's my concern. Is that I'm not going to take anything away from her. I think marvelous, but she was very talented, naturally talented, and she should be lauded for her ability to stick it out, spend a year there, even when she wanted to go home at Christmas. You know what I mean? But she's not solving world peace. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I think people can be far too like, this is amazing, and
Did you like the? By the way, the kind of odd bit, like the freezing. You know how they freeze them in the air? It was kind of cheesy, but I liked it.
It was cool.
I liked
'cause
how
it
they would,
showed
and
the
they would just,
flexibility.
yeah,
and-
just cut her on. She was like frozen in the air. It was kind of
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
yeah. very
But no, they're
cool.
not. I mean, they're not solving world peace. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like when you can watch them, it kind of takes away from your life and your whatever issues you're dealing with and the problems in the world, and you
Right.
can kind of just be like, wow, this is an amazing human to
Well, I
feed.
suppose it's inspiring, and inspiration is where you find it, right?
Be happy for her.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it shows like the capabilities of the human body, and
Yeah.
you know, it's inspiring.
right.
I think so.
he's
You're not
he's
sold on
still
it.
on Godzilla.
No, I was just thinking about bedroom Olympics and the you know, the
goodness.
capabilities of the human body. It's just some freeze frames there for you, huh?
But so did you guys have any? So you know, her moving again, like her moving from like almost it's halfway across the country.
Oh,
You
they're
moved.
showing it now. Yeah, it was about 1,200 miles away, right?
Yeah, and you moving from Canada. Did you ever have? Is that kind of like a similar? I mean, it's different countries.
Yeah. You mean in terms of
Yeah, moving here for your
Missing-
career and everything, like
missing
just
people?
yeah.
Or, I'm very close with my family, so we still keep in touch regularly, and I think that helps in motivating you to keep on your path.
yeah.
And visiting people, like she had her family come visit. That kind of gives you that extra boost for a little while longer. And you know, these are your heydays, so you can always go back later on.
How long have you been here in LA?
It'll be 8 years at the end
8
of the
years.
year.
Oh wow, you're
so,
local.
So you.
But I'm Montreal to the heart.
When did you stop saying A after everything? 'Cause
That's funny. I hear Americans saying A all the time. So
We do.
Yeah.
Because the Canadians are going off
Do you
on it.
say? Do you say?
Oh, is that why?
Yeah.
Do you say route or do you say route?
I say route,
You do?
unless we go that route. Like it depends on what I'm saying.
Okay. All right.
Because that's what I mean. That's interesting you brought that up because I've had the same thing. Like it's being originally from Texas and living here, you do miss your family. And I'm sure like being from from England. No, you don't miss your family.
He
Well,
went
those
to
of us on this
Godzilla.
continent, it's a North American thing apparently.
I was like Moses. I was.
You were parting the Red Sea, but you parted the Atlantic, the pond. But no, I mean it is, and that's one thing I really related to, and I like that a lot that she she overcame that.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Sorry.
But she also didn't she get in the way of that Jordan girl, the other girl that was in at the same time? Because there was only 2 that were going to make it.
I wouldn't say got in the way.
she was a stronger
She
competitor.
excelled. Yeah.
But that was what happened, right? They could only have 2, and so the
And
one
the
that was
all-around.
she beat her out.
Yeah.
We should have a "This is how I didn't make it," and have people
Aw.
that came ever so close.
Aw.
What an inspiration that'd be, mate.
Well, that's what she said. I mean, she even said when she made it was when she got the gold medal, and that she kind of
Right.
proved to everyone like, hey, I can
Sure.
do this. And I like the fact that she's not ready to retire. Like she's definitely like, hey,
How
I
old
want
is
to
she,
keep doing
14?
this.
She's gonna go to Rio.
I mean, yeah, she's getting old, you
How
know.
old is she?
She's probably
I think she's older now. She's what, 6?
she's probably 16 now.
16.
'Cause she started-
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got to be about 60 now.
Start her for a pension.
But so, guys, check us out on iTunes.
Around.
Or go to AfterBuzz TV. Please download us, and you can tweet us. You can tweet us at AfterBuzz TV. You can tweet me at Thomas Guide, TOMAS Guide.
I'm at Kendra Kabasele.
And what about you?
You don't know.
I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head, buddy.
Come on. At McGuinness Nigel.
That's
Yeah, let us know.
Godzilla.
We definitely want your feedback. I mean, like, let us know. And if you have any questions, like, tweet us about Gabby Douglas. We're going to move on to Mac Miller. So
Yeah.
what did you guys think of Mr. Mac Miller from Pittsburgh?
Well, that's actually my mother's side is from Pittsburgh, so
Really?
I had this little affinity for Mac. I didn't know he was a rap artist. First thing, I think I was telling you, I first saw him on Punk'd. He was hosting an episode of the new season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, that's that guy. So, anyways, I kind of give him props for the path that he took.
Do you like rap
can't-
music?
Yeah,
You do?
I grew up. listening
Did
to
you ever listen to any of his stuff?
I haven't.
You haven't?
But
Oh,
now
really?
I'm gonna check it out, and that's what I'm saying. I didn't know he was an artist.
What about you,
So-
Thomas?
Yes. Well, I grew up listening pretty much everything. Like, well, in Texas, you have country music, obviously. You listen to that. Spanish music.
Yeah.
Hip-hop, rock. Yeah. Pop.
did?
Everything, yeah.
And so you've listened to his music?
Not a lot, no.
Not a lot. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Is he signed to a record label? Because I know he got most of his fame from being on YouTube and all those social media things.
Well, that's
Is
what he said. Like, I mean, like growing up, like hip hop was a big part of his life, and his mom, they played Lauryn Hill. His mom was a big Lauryn Hill fan. He said that she was always on. Her mom was always playing her. Did you notice the braid in his hair?
No.
I missed.
You didn't see a
that.
little braid?
know
I
you
thought it was
said
kind of when he was a kid, and he was like rapping at. He's probably like what 4 or 5 years old. He was like
Well,
rapping.
And his mother must be really young for that to be her song,
Mhm.
Lauryn Hill. I was like, I was listening to that at age.
Yeah.
You
Wait,
know?
what age?
I don't know. The sound went out, but it was just interesting to see that he's that generation. 'Cause
What? Yo, go ahead. Yeah.
He's kind of the new gen of selling tapes out of the back of your car.
When he did it
except
through
he
YouTube, did it through online.
Yeah, online.
Well,
So-
and did you like the way he realized? It was interesting because he has a similar story to Gabby. Like when he realized, like there was that moment that he realized this is what I want to do. This is what I'm good at. He was at a Jewish summer camp, and he was rapping, and he's like, wow, he performed in front of everyone, and he's like, I did a really good job, and he realized this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then he talked about making that mixtape and selling
Yeah.
it for $400. Well, it probably wasn't an actual tape, like what. you know,
It
because I
was
grew up
like
with cassette
CD,
tapes. Yeah,
big
CD.
CDs, yeah.
But $400, he thought he was rich. He was like, as a kid, I made $400. I was rich. He's like, I was ready to give everything up.
Get a lot of medicine for $400, right? What was he talking about? He said he's a freshman. They just sat in a loft and got medicine. What is that?
Medicine.
He didn't. I've written it down. He said his whole freshman year they didn't go to class. They just sat in a loft and they took medicine. He didn't. I wrote that down.
Maybe that was
Really?
code for something.
Yeah,
I didn't
I
catch
know,
that.
I'm
Said
sure
they
it
were
is.
playing video games
No, video games and
and taking medicine.
definitely taking medicine. Definitely taking medicine.
This is code for something.
I know.
Yeah.
We need a fact check on
We
that.
need to fact check on that. The medicine.
Yeah.
We'll check that out on Bing.
Right.
Medicine. But yeah, so he's talking about that, and then it was interesting because he said he started with Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube to grow his fan base, and
Mhm.
it was really funny because like he had no fans for a long time. He had like 3 fans,
Right.
and he was like excited to have 3 fans,
Yeah.
which a lot of people would be like really upset about. Which I thought was pretty interesting. That's how he, you know, grew his fan base.
I didn't take it like that. I think they just used that 3 as an arbitrary number. But I think he got very successful very quickly, right?
It took a while though.
Did
Yeah,
it?
it took some uphill climb.
It took some uphill. I mean, it wasn't like overnight, but it definitely took some uphill climb for him to do that.
Really? Well, how old is he now? He's not that old. It can't be that uphill, right? If he's is he 18 yet?
Well, if it started when he was younger, I mean, yeah.
Suppose
Right.
so. I don't know.
It wasn't an overnight success story.
Well, it's just for me. It's kind of difficult because I think back to like a different generation. You know what I mean? Where if you look at the actors that were successful in the 60s or 70s, I mean, they had 10, 15, 20 years before they really got in their stride, the majority of them, you know what I mean? So for them to watch things and going, oh, you know, it took me about 2 years, I think they would probably sort of snub their nose. And I think people from the, you know, our grandparents' generations that grew up, you know, through the Second World War, this sort of stuff to them is like, well, thank God, you know, you should be praising the Lord that you have the opportunity to do this, let alone like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah, we definitely live in a very different world nowadays, and this is what I really want to ask you guys, because, well, maybe it's difficult because we haven't actually got the music. Have we got any music? Can we listen to one of Mac Miller's tracks or not? He's got one called Donald Trump. One of his most downloaded tracks is called Donald Trump. It's about Donald Trump. But I watched it. I did a bit of research, and I'm, you know, I really enjoyed last week talking to Jesse and trying to sort of find out why rap music was good, for want of a better phrase. You know what I mean? Why there was any kind of depth to it, and you know, we smartened me up to a little bit about West Coast versus East Coast and stuff like that. So this is his Is it? Oh, it's we're playing it in our ears. Is this going out now as well?
Yeah.
So this is Donald Trump, and actually Donald Trump apparently heard about this, listened to it, and tweeted about it, and said that, you know, it was great. But I was listening to it, and from what I can understand, it's mostly about having lots of money, being popular, having lots of girls that want to sleep with you, and having more money, and being the best rapper, and having lots of money, and having lots of...
The Donald Trump song?
Yeah, this song that we're listening to now. I'm at my house, I'm on my couch. People are talking about him. A big butt bitch.
Okay.
Nuts are kissed. Bitches are on his dick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Taking over the world, Donald Trump shit. So we get an idea of the basic premise of the song that he's saying. So what he's saying, tell me how you guys feel about that. I mean, because like, and it's not that every song has to be deep and meaningful or whatever else, but given that there are a lot of like kids who are 14, 15 years old who are listening to this, what do you think that effect is having on them, if any?
Well, I think this is definitely something Jesse referred to be meant more for the club, because it's more something like you would hear when you're out, like the beat and stuff like that. That's
But this is available on YouTube, so
no, but I
kids
mean,
are-
like if you were, you know, it's mixed more for
the
like
audience,
a
you
club
mean,
environment. Available on YouTube. So you're saying like that was like but you're saying on YouTube as in like audience wise, like how this is affecting kids.
I mean, what do you think is you know, the effect that it would have on kids? You know?
Well, You want to answer that first?
It's a huge can of worms.
It's real
like,
simple, you know. I mean, let's say
it's-
you had kids, and you heard your
The
14-year-old kid listening to that, and your kid came in at dinner and he was
I'd
like,
be very
"I've
strict
got
about
this
what my
girl.
kids. I'd be very strict about
She's
what my
on
kids
my
listen to.
nuts."
That's the
you
thing.
know?
That's a lot of music on the radio today is like that,
Sure.
and that's when I
Sure.
changed the channel because I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
interested in that. But the younger kids are listening
Mhm.
to it, and I guess that coincides with the numbers they say in schools of the promiscuity and the.
Mhm.
See, I disagree. I mean, I'm not saying that I defend it wholeheartedly, but I don't think there's a 14-year-old that was having a lovely life, heard about some girl on some guy's balls, and went, you know what? I'm going to get my balls out and be promiscuous now. I don't think that's how it works.
Not necessarily, but there are kids who are,
Yeah.
vulnerable and you can persuade them to do those types of things.
Right. But so
Right.
surely the issue isn't what you give them; it's how you teach them to interpret what you give
Well,
them.
yeah,
right?
and it starts at home. It's that
Sure.
whole
Yeah.
thing.
I
'Cause,
think it all
mean,
starts at home.
I grew up listening to like whatever my brother was listening to. Not that he was listening to that type of thing, but and then my friends and I would hear,
Mhm.
I won't name some of the tracks, but
Come
like,
on, Kendra, come on, let's do it.
like Akinyele, like certain artists.
What? Name a track.
Akinyele, put it in, yeah.
Put it
Yeah.
in what?
You
Put it in French for
Would
me.
you like
What is
to-
it? No?
No. Anyways, it's similar to what he's saying in the track. But those types of things I didn't demonstrate.
Because you're saying
in
you
my-
had the family values at home
Yeah.
that you knew,
You
obviously,
knew it
this is
was
a song, this isn't
entertainment.
Right.
affecting my life.
Right.
I mean,
And the
here's a
same
guy.
goes
Here's a
for
guy
violence.
who I think you have to say is an inspiration for the fact that he had a dream. He wanted to be a rapper.
Yes.
He believed in himself, and he didn't just sit at home. He got it out on YouTube. He got it on social media, and he now has more downloads than pretty much anybody. You know what I mean? And he's
Mhm.
now very famous because of it.
Mhm.
That gives him great power. That gives him great inspiration. But at the same time, you have to look at what
The content that he's producing is what you're saying.
I mean,
Okay.
you have to.
Well,
You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. He seems like he's from a good family. So is that the other message? Like, are they seeing that? Oh, well, this makes money, so I'm gonna.
I think it goes back to what Jesse had mentioned. It's just fitting that genre and selling the
Yeah.
music. Like, remember last week when he was bringing that up?
Hmm.
I think that falls into a lot of that. Do I think it's the best content for 14-year-olds to listen to? In my honest, humble opinion, probably not. Honestly, like if it was my child, I probably wouldn't prefer them to listen to it. But knowing when I was 14, I would have.
What were
listened
you
to it.
listening to when you were 14?
I mean, like anything, to be honest, anything that was on the radio. Well, we would get radio stations depending on which way the wind blew. It was a very rural area, yes. But I mean, yeah, I listened to just about everything. Obviously, the radio would bleep stuff, but we watch MTV. A lot of risque videos. Like I grew up watching MTV. I was like 4 or 5. I started watching it. Yeah, like Madonna, Michael Jackson.
What was the one video for me? It was what was that one? It was black and white. They were gay. I'm sure they still are gay. You don't lose it. It's called Being Boring. We were never being Pet Shop Boys. Okay. And they had a black and white video, and there was lots of people making out, like guys making out and girls making out, and it really like touched me emotionally. I was like, oh my god, like it was. I think the first time where I felt sexual in my life. You know what I mean? And they weren't going, I've got somebody with their dick in my mouth or whatever it is. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, this is it. Yeah. Right, being boring.
But yeah, so anyway, that's what I remember. I remember Madonna, Papa
Madonna
Don't
was
Preach. I remember Michael Jackson, Thriller, and I remember the big hair bands. I
But
just remember
Thriller
seeing it.
wasn't a movie that sexually.
No, but those, just the ones
Love
that I
those
remember, actually.
zombies.
But Papa Don't Preach, and then I remember my mom cut back on, because it got more risque with the videos and stuff. But anyway, yeah, so like I don't know. I think like again, it goes back to your home, your values at home. Probably not necessarily the best content, but he's doing what makes him money, and obviously has a huge following. So I think it can go. I think honestly it can go both ways. At the
Right.
end of it, it's like your own determination.
Yes.
Kendra, you're from Canada. You grew up in Canada.
Yes.
There's always obviously a big debate between Canada and America about gun violence, for example, right? Why is there not so much like gun death and gun violence in Canada when guns are almost as readily available as here? Same sort of thing with music, I think. You know what I mean? You can get the same sort of music in Canada, but it goes around the world. Do you think it's different though in Canada than in America in terms of like young people, or do you think it's the same?
It's probably the same, and
Really?
it's funny because a lot of the younger kids there are trying to kind of emulate the kids in the U.S.
Really?
Right.
That's where we get the most of our entertainment and music. There is CanCon, and we have artists, but they're not necessarily as popular, I guess, as here.
Mhm.
You know, we have Drake, and he's one of the few who's kind of penetrated the U.S. market.
Right.
But yeah, some of the a lot of the artists I listen to back home are a little more conscious. They're not really talking about putting things in
In body
in
parts,
places.
stuff like that, yeah.
And
Right.
you know, it is more socially conscious stuff. At least the stuff that I was listening to.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's something to be said for like music that just moves you. I mean, and that's why this is, I think, really, you know, it's just that people listen to it and go, oh, it's got a good beat. I can dance to it. You know what I mean?
When he's talking about living the dream, he's talking about hooking up with girls. He's talking about making money. He's talking about running the world
Right.
like Donald Trump.
I guess that's my concern, though, is that there are young guys now that are thinking, well, this is it. This is what
That's
I
what
want to
you
do. Want to be. And
You mean to be a rapper or to be?
No, in general life, this is what's cool. If you're a 14-year-old kid and you're going, now, what sort of a man am I going to be? How do I want to live my life? Well, I want to have bitches on my nuts, and I want to like have all this money.
the thing, yeah.
No? Do you
So
disagree?
I'm thinking.
I don't.
there's
I think it's like.
also-
I just think it's a metaphor for like. He's just.
It's not a metaphor. It's
We're
not a
gonna do it for the doubt, we're gonna
metaphor.
do it for the doubt.
It's not a metaphor.
But I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say I think it's also a timeline because I've followed Jay-Z his whole career, and I think there's a certain similarity to what he was talking about early on, and that's what he knew and what he grew up listening to and surrounded by. And if you listen to him now, he's has a more mature outlook on things, and he's not necessarily talking about putting things in
You
places.
mature with age. I mean,
Right.
kind of
And
like.
so so Mac Miller still has a lot of time.
He has a lot to learn. Yeah.
We'll see where he goes.
And
with
he's
it.
he's producing though what's gonna sell. I mean,
Mhm.
that's exactly what he's doing. I mean, it doesn't mean it's gonna lyrically make you think. Lyrically, it's gonna change your life or like give you some deeper thought.
Right.
He's producing what's gonna make him money, and he's
Right.
he's putting out a product.
But
that's
is that?
definitely-
I mean, obviously we live in a capitalist world, but is that the be all and the end all? Is that the goal of our society? Is to make as much money as we possibly could, or at some point do we have to say, what should be more socially acceptable?
That's a big debate. I mean, it's
It's
presidential year. I mean, that's one of the biggest debates. It's
Is
like,
it? Is that the big difference between those two guys?
no, I don't know about those two guys, but like amongst voters and stuff like that, it's like ideologies. I think the biggest thing is like, in the U.S., like it is and like the bottom line is probably the most important thing in the U.S. Like the bottom line about everything. But then you have people that argue, well, maybe we should be more socially responsible, and it fights back and forth. I mean, did you notice that too about the U.S. compared to Canada?
Yeah,
We're
definitely.
a little more money oriented.
Yes, yes, and just everything. I was telling someone when I got here, I know ethnicity plays a big role on things, and I would notice stories. If a friend tells a story, they are more likely here to say, "Oh, my Asian friend," blah blah blah. And
Which isn't even
I always
relevant.
say that's not relevant to the story you're telling me. Why can't you just say my friend Erica? So those are the little things I started to notice when I moved here. I was like, wow.
A friend of mine from Canada said that. She said that growing up in Canada, like it's not like it doesn't matter where you're from.
Right.
She'd be like raw Canadian.
Yeah.
Like it's not like in the U.S. Like I'm from here, but originally from here, and then my parents are from.
Right.
Like we don't track it like in the U.S. We have like a kind of obsession with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's part of American culture because America was founded on people immigrating. Which was Canada really?
Yeah, Canada also.
Yeah.
Was that how it started? How did it start?
Oh goodness. We did
tell
a whole
us a little
other
bit about the
show.
history, 'cause I don't know that much about it.
We had founding fathers as well, and
You did?
Native Canadians, and yeah.
Yeah, same
I
thing.
mean,
Very
yeah.
similar.
Really?
I mean, it's
That's-
very similar to the U.S. Again, we're just very money,
No,
which is like the
there
music
had
and
to
things we have.
be
but-
Yeah.
some time in the past where North America was split into the good old US of A and Canada, and the Queen and England got the Canada bit, and all the puritanical nut jobs got America.
Well, and we succeed. I mean, we
Ouch.
definitely got the whole. Yeah. So anyway,
Yay,
so,
Texas.
back to Mac Miller on that little tangent. But so I mean, yeah, like I definitely see your point where you're coming from about his lyrics, and I definitely understand that. But I think at the same time, he's just producing that product,
Yeah.
which goes back to what we're talking about. There's between the United States and Canada and other countries. In the U.S., like a lot, it's about the bottom line. It's about paying your bills a lot of time. But then the other argument that you brought up is really good, and please tweet us about it. Is
But
like,
you-
should you be more socially responsible?
People should take a stand.
But at the end, will people want to buy that?
That's the thing.
That's what I.
No,
that's
no,
kind of
no,
where
no.
I kind of back him up a little
Yeah.
bit on
No.
that, because like they want to
No.
buy it if he's being socially.
It's
not
hard
here.
Do
'cause
people
it
wanna
depends
hear it?
on your audience.
He is
yeah.
taking a stand. I can admire that. He says, "This is what I want to do. This is what
Okay.
this is how I want to live my life.
Mhm.
I want to have money. I want to be in clubs. I want to have girls on my nuts. I'm going to do that. Right? Great. But you guys now need to say either you're for it or you're against it. You can't go, well, you can look at it this way or you can look at it this way. You need to say for or
No,
against.
you don't need to.
You
say
do.
it.
That's the whole point of why you have
Well-
the freedom in America. You have the freedom to choose one side or the other. And all
Well, you
this
can
flip
also-
flopping, I think, is against. It's very un-American, in my opinion. Like, you have to believe in something. What do you believe?
But are his other songs the same way? Or like, are all of his songs
I
about
would
women
guess
and
so.
clubs and
I would assume so. A lot of them are.
Like no, that's what I mentioned earlier. Like, and that's what I told you was like my honest opinion of it
Yes.
is like I don't necessarily care for the content, but good for him if he's making money on it and people are
So
gonna
you're
buy it.
for it.
If you're gonna make money, it's gonna pay your bills.
For
Go
it.
ahead. Like,
For it. Good.
no,
Right.
but but I'm the type that I don't have to agree with something. But if you're gonna make money
Yeah.
on it and you're not hurting other people, then go ahead.
No, you're for it.
But,
Yeah, if that,
Yes.
yeah.
Good.
but then is he hurting people? Like, is he
No,
hurting-
how is he
he's
hurting
taken
people,
his.
though?
I'm
part-
just wondering.
Well-
I'm just playing devil's advocate. Is he hurting like that young girl who
If your
has no
daughter.
real parents?
But I would,
at
but I
home?
necessarily wouldn't allow that played at my house.
No, your daughter.
You know what I mean?
Your
So I mean,
daughter.
like you can have your own rules, but
Yeah.
Kendra, for or against it?
Well, see, and I see both sides, so I
No,
can't
no,
even,
no, no
I'm
answer.
Canadian. I'm
No, no
allowed
answer.
to be diplomatic
yes or no,
about
yes
it.
or no.
You got
Hot
to.
seat.
You got to take a stand.
Well, as I told you before, I
Uh-huh.
hear songs like that on the radio all the time, and I change the station. Like, it doesn't
So-
feed me in any way to
But
be.
you believe because this is a free country that people should be allowed to say what they want.
Yeah, they can.
Good.
He can say what he
What do you
wants.
think?
I'm
It's-
definitely for it.
It's
I'm definitely for it.
your
Absolutely.
choice to change the channel. Right?
I totally believe in freedom. There should be no censorship whatsoever. But I believe that like heroin should be legal, for example. You know what I mean? I what do they call
Sorry.
that? They call that not a libertarian. You know what I mean?
yes, very libertarian.
People should be allowed to succeed or fail. You know what I mean? And that includes heroin. If I can buy heroin at Walgreens and people were stupid enough to buy heroin and shoot up on the
Wow.
street, then let them do it. You know? They
Yeah.
won't be around long, and then people that are not shooting up heroin
The-
can enjoy
the cream will rise to the
can
top.
enjoy the lyrical stylings of Mac Miller, right?
Sorry,
fantastic.
I've never heard that before.
we agree then. We
all
agree.
three agree.
But we talked about Europe, and actually that was what he said that he felt that he'd made it is when he went to Europe and sold out everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
that
that-
was interesting.
People
Isn't
were
it
singing.
amazing, right?
In
How
Amsterdam.
so I used to be a professional wrestler. And back in the 50s when wrestling finally got on TV, Lou Thez, who was a world champion at the time, remarked how before television it would take them about 6 months to a year to get a champion over enough to where he would sell tickets where people would come to watch him. But with TV they could do it in 2 weeks because the medium was so strong it took you into someone's home. And now with social media, you know, with YouTube and
Even
everything
faster.
else, it's even faster. I mean,
Mhm.
how long
Which
does
is
it
how
take?
he rose up, though. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. Like the Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. He capitalized on all of that and grew his base. Which before, like you said, you kind of gave that analogy, like of the mixtape back in the day of like selling it out of your van or your car. He did He did it used social media.
He didn't need the car.
I have a question. What do you guys think of the people on tonight's show? What are your overall thoughts on both of them?
Well, that you know, my thoughts on Gabrielle is that you know she's inspiring, but my gut instinct
Yeah.
is that she was just very talented, and did well with her talent. She could have really ballsed it up, you know what I mean, and got pregnant or something like that. So well done for that. But at the end of the day, as I said, I still don't feel like I'm watching Mother Teresa. You know what I mean? I'm not. This isn't Oscar Schindler saving you know hundreds of people from like gas chambers.
But on the flip side, do you think it's in the sense the positive of it is they're everyday people and they're not Mother Teresa, but they
well, Mother Teresa was an everyday person, and Oscar Schindler was an everyday person. I think we're all everyday people, and I think that when we realise that even Madonna, you know what I mean, holding a gun and shooting it in the air in Colorado, even Madonna one day was a normal person like us, and I think that's why we are inspired by people who make it like that, because we understand that it's all possible, you know.
What about you?
I liked that both of them were, just regular kids who kind of, saw where they were going at an early age, and they encourage others to, like I said, to kind of grasp onto whatever is inside of them and to take that to the next level. You know, Mac Miller said, to quote the illustrious Mac Miller, he said, you know, why not sit, you know, end the wars? Why not feel like you can be that person?
But
who
wasn't
can
that
just-
interesting though? That, like you said, you know, he's when he said that at the end,
a
I
little
was
more
very,
deep.
well, that's it. I was very impressed. I was like, oh, okay, save, you know,
Well-
solve world hunger and you know, all that sort of stuff. But then I think, well, why not rap about that? You could just as easily go, you know.
I think he's going to surprise us. I think he's going to go that way because he is educated, and I feel like, you know, like he corrected himself in the beginning, saying, "Oh, I can do good in school. I mean, do well." So he comes from that background, and I think he's probably studied other rap artists and is going to take it in that direction.
I mean, it might very well be a necessary evil in the sense that, like, if he rapped about world peace, he wouldn't get 56 million people downloading him on YouTube, whereas rapping about girls on his nuts does get 56 million. Then once he's got to that position, and that's the beauty
That's
of
the
fame,
thing.
then
You
you
can
have
use it.
that power, and then you can use it. You know,
It's
what I
almost
mean? So-
it's the foot in the door because Kanye has a song about Jesus that he says on that that
I
you
love
know,
that song.
Yeah, and
Such a
like
good song.
What is it?
Jesus walks. I don't know if we can pull that up.
It's a really good song.
Who did the song that went skeet skeet skeet? Who did that?
Goodness. He's
Do
done
they
a
have
few-
the same thing in
I cannot
Canada or
think.
not?
I cannot
Oh,
think of
yeah.
the artist
They
right
do.
now.
They didn't
Lil
have it.
Jon.
They didn't have that in who is it?
Lil Jon. you're
Little
talking
John.
Oh, it is. You're right. It is
Right?
Lil Jon. Yeah.
Is
I
it
should
Little
know
John
this.
or is it
Lil Jon.
John?
Lil
Lil-
Jon.
And then there's
Lil
Lil
Jon.
Wayne as well, right?
Right.
Is
So
it?
It's a great song.
yeah,
Especially
and
having a
he
bad
says,
day. It's
you
such a
know,
good song.
usually if you have Jesus in your song, they're not playing it in the clubs, but they're playing this song in the club. So he's kind of
What is this song about?
Jesus walks with him. So it's like a spiritual journey he's taken, and that's where he's.
He's talking about like everyday struggles in life. Like
Yeah.
it's like he's just saying like, you know, each day I'm having this, you know, I'm being tempted to do this, but I
Yeah.
like kind of follow Jesus and he keeps me back on my path.
Yeah. So he's a Christian.
Oh yeah.
It's
He even
interesting
says
thing.
next time he's in church, don't take a photo. And one of sorry,
There's
I listen to his stuff.
You love his stuff, right? But so there's a big, obviously coming from Canada to America, there's obviously a big difference with religion as well, in the sense that in England, religion is a conversation. Over here, it's it's nearly tantamount to a fist fight a lot of times. You know
Oh,
what
yeah.
I mean? Which is weird because in America, you're supposed to have the freedom to be any kind of religion, but you don't really have that freedom to discuss religion in that same sense, especially if you throw atheism into the mix. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you feel about atheism? I'm really getting
Again,
off topic.
to each his own.
Yeah?
Like if that's what you if that's what you don't believe in,
Right.
you know, like
Right.
I can't judge you. That's
Yeah.
your, you know.
But people
That's-
should be able to have that discussion, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm open
This
to
goes back
discuss-
like if you wanted to rap about that, let him rap about it. Like you can always change the channel and
Yeah. Because it's interesting to me to hear the other side. Like, why don't you? I know someone who was extremely Christian and then became atheist. Like, there was
Interesting.
a whole journey. He was a pastor, everything, and now
Yeah.
he's an atheist. And to me, that's interesting to have that conversation.
I would say more people go in that direction than the other. Well, maybe not. I
It
don't know. It
depends.
depends how crazy you are, isn't it? Really, I think it depends how how tight you're holding the rail. Yeah.
well, on that note,
All right.
on that note, thanks for joining us for this week's
Is
This
that
Is
it?
How I Made It. Yeah. My name's Thomas. You can play with my Twitter at ThomasGuide, TomasGuide. I said it.
I'm at Kendra Kabasele, KendraKabasele.
That is super long, but
I
awesome.
know, but it's my name.
No
Where can they play with
one-
your Twitter at?
No one's playing with my Twitter, mate, apart from my girlfriend.
What's your handle, no?
I told you at the beginning of the
Yes, I do.
show.
All right.
Oh my God.
Well,
At
that's it.
McGuinness Nigel.
Well, that's it. Thanks for joining us, and check us out on AfterBuzzTV.com.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
Thank you, Dick.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.